Alright, the next unit is on scatter plots. So the calculator directions is the first thing you do is hit stat and then edit, which is 1. After you do that, you put in all of the information from the table, and then you have to make sure that your plots are on. And how you do that is you go to y equal, and you'll see where it says plot 1, and you have to go up and make sure it's highlighted. After you do that, you hit zoom 9, and you figure out what type it is. So after you figure out what type it is, you hit stat, you arrow over to calc, and if it looks like a line, you hit 4. If it looks like a quadratic, so a U, draw a U shape if you don't know that, you hit 5. And if it looks like a half a U, an exponential, then you hit 0. So the first example, find the line of best fit for the following data. Use it to predict how much money someone will spend for 12 hours. So they're given a table, so what I do is I go to my calculator, and I hit stat edit. I've already put in the numbers from the table, so you put them all in, make sure it's an L1 and L2. So then you have to go to y equals and make sure plots are on. So notice my plot 1 is highlighted currently, but if it was not highlighted, you would go up to where it says plot 1 and hit enter, and then you hit zoom 9. So if you notice, my scatter plot doesn't really look like anything. However, the problem indicated that it was a line. It says use your line of best fit. So regardless of what it looks like, if it tells you what type it is, you're going to use that type. So since it says line, I'm going to go and hit 4. Then I go down and hit calculate, and I get that. Make sure you do not round, because sometimes that can make a difference. So that is a line. Write it down. But for this case, I'm just going to plug it on in. It says, how much money would you spend for 12 hours? Hours is an X value because it's in the first row. So I would go and I would plug it on in for the X. So I've already done that right here. So I plugged it on in. If you notice, it'll say 12 over here in parentheses where the X would be. And then hit enter. And I get 23.7. So that would be my answer. The next topic is permutations and combinations. Permutation is an arrangement of things or order. Does or doesn't matter? It does. So some examples of permutations are races. So that could mean an election or an actual race, like a horse race or a car race. It also means words, because it matters what order your letters go in. Also, if it uses the word ways, then it usually is a permutation unless it tells you otherwise. Combination is arrangement thing where order does not matter. So examples of this is if you're talking about groups or if you're talking about food. A lot of times these are combinations unless it tells you otherwise. How you do it in the calculator is you type your N. N is how many things you have to choose from. It's either the bigger thing or the same number as your second number. Then you hit the math button. And then you arrow over to PRB. And then you either do 2 or 3, depending if it's a P or a C. And then you type the R. And the R is how many things you are choosing, or the smaller or equal number as N. So the first example, a coach must choose 5 starters from a team of 12 players. How many different groups? Groups is our key word. That means it's a combination. So the bigger number is a team of 12 players. That's how many you have to choose from. And you're choosing 5 starters. So 12C3. So then I go to my calculator. I type in the bigger number, so 12. I hit math. I go over to PRB. It was a combination, so I go to 3. And then I type in the smaller number, 5. and I get 792. The second one, how many ways, so ways is a P, can 3 vases be arranged? So we have 3 vases to choose from, and we're arranging 3 of them. So it'd be 3 and 3. So 3, math, and PR this time, 3, and I get 6. That's my answer for this one. So now you can go ahead and do the Socrative quiz.